But wait, aren't you always limited to just 6 Pokemon? On your team? Yes. But can we beat the entirety of Pokemon Emerald, sticking by the same 6 Pokemon throughout the entire game, never abandoning them just because they may not be suitable for the next gym or being labeled by society as dead, while playing with hardcore Nuzlocke rules? You already know the rules, so I'll stick them on the screen so you can read them at your own pace, but one that we'll be adding is that once we catch a Pokemon, they're with us till the very end. Even if that means that we need to carry their lifeless corpse to the Pokémon League, we leave no mon behind. Well, I'll need to switch out every now and then for HM servants, but let's not get caught in the semantics. And I'll be altering one rule in a somewhat controversial way. I'll still only be allowed to catch 1 Pokemon per route, but I'll be choosing my encounter. This could seem overpowered for some, but due to the nature of the challenge, I think it's fair. Plus, this is really only to save me having to reset and replay the first gym multiple times despite it being free. You'll find out soon enough. Also, before anyone asks, Shedinja is banned in my runs as it invalidates 90% of battles in any Pokemon game, as long as you have some telepathic ability to foresee battles. I usually don't bother, but I'll include a ban list in the description. But for now, let's get a guaranteed encounter. Our starter. As with all my other challenges, the way I pick my starter is whichever one would hypothetically make the run harder. And despite it being my favourite starter line, I'll concede the fact that the Blaziken line probably struggles the most throughout Hoenn. But remember, we aren't allowed to switch them out, so we should actually pay attention to the natures and IVs this time. And they suck. Reset. On my third try, I get a Torchic that's actually mediocre. I'll take mediocre over bad. I call him Bruno. On to my next encounter. So reason number 1 why I altered that one rule. Torchic can't really do anything against Roxanne. It can't even evolve. And there's really only a couple of encounters that we can get that would help us. We could reset 5 times, or I could just keep re-rolling the encounters until I get the 10% Shroomish in Petalburg Woods. And it sucks. Reset. After a couple of resets, I actually get a passable Torchic, and better yet, my next Shroomish was also passable. Welcome Giorno. Outside of Petalburg Forest, I grab the TM for Bullet Seed and harvest these orange berries. Inside the berry shop, we learn some fun facts about berries, can't relate, and we get a whale merpale. This means we can now grow berries, and by my rules, we now have unlimited orange berries. We can move straight onto the first gym, and Roxanne's pretty straightforward. She has 2 Geodude who go down to Bullet Seed, and then we can set up a Leech Seed on Nose Pass, paralyze it, and we're basically set until we can pelt it with the final Bullet Seed, all while Giorno is still at full health. I mean, I don't think anyone ever thinks of her as being a threat. Before moving on, I grab my HM servant and call her Trish. Does anyone remember this battle with May and the Torkoal? I feel like no one ever brings it up. Why does she have a level 13 Torkoal? It's a pretty strong Pokemon this early on. Where did she get it from? What happened to it? Brawly, however, can sometimes be concerning. Granite Cave is actually great for encounters. You can make most of them work in one way or the other. But point number 2 why I altered that rule. We specifically won the 10% Sableye. And to my surprise, Narancia has amazing IVs. But it isn't damage output why I want him. It's for the 3 immunities. Normal, Psychic, and Fighting. All very common types. And the next gym leader has no moves that can touch Sableye. Another free fight. Like I said, I could always just reset the game so I can get these encounters legitimately, since there's no real roadblocks yet. Roxanne's never really going to be a threat. But that's just extra hours that would be wasted. Though believe it or not, this is the last time we'll use that caveat. The remainder of my encounters are guaranteed by the standard rules. As is the next encounter, Abakio the Tentacle. And it's actual trash. It has a jolly nature which reduces special attack. And on top of that, it has 0 to 9 special IVs. Out of 31. Honestly should have reset, but we persevere. At least it's speedy. On the way to Mawile, we have a battle with May, and this one's usually considered to be one of the hardest rival fights. Lombre is a water type, but look at its stats. A Bulk Up and a Double Kick later, we have Marsh Stomp. 2 Mega Drains later, we have Slugma. Yawn, Nightshade, Double Kick. In Mawile, we have access to the game corner, but unfortunately, unlike Platinum, there's no surefire way to earn coins, so the only consistent way to get TMs from here is to rebattle trainers for money, which is kind of unreasonable this early into the game, so no TMs for now. Watson's another run ender, but we already got all the encounters we need. Watson leads with Voltorb, and I lead with Bruno. Voltorb usually doesn't explode on the first turn, but of course Spark crits instead. Double Kick doesn't quite get the kill, but baits Watson into using a super potion. Another Double Kick and we're back. I can now switch into Narancia on the Boom. Narancia uses Fake Out on Electrike, and the next turn it uses Lid despite having no physical moves to hit Narancia, while he uses Nightshade. A shockwave later, Electra goes down to another Nightshade. Magneton moves first using Thunder Wave, but Narantia is prepared. Nightshade does some chip damage. Supersonic misses, and Nightshade brings Magneton into heal range. Watson heals, and Nightshade. Narantia was absolutely in crit range, and Nightshade puts Magneton into red. I switch out to Giorno on Shockwave, and Mach Punch brings out Watson's final Pokemon. Manectric starts off with a Howl as Giorno misses Leech Seed. Manectric uses Thunder Wave, but Giorno is prepared. Her Leech Seed lands this time. Into Narantia on another Howl, but we can stall out a turn with Fake Out getting some HP back. I switch it to Giorno on yet another Howl. Manectric's actually starting to look pretty scary. We do this exchange one more time, and as Manectric gets low, I get impatient for some reason as I go for a Mach Punch, as Manectric outspeeds to use Quick Attack. Luckily, Giorno seems to have just been outside of crit range and finishes Manectric off, getting us the third badge. Emerald's been a lot easier than I remember. Surely picking early game encounters shouldn't make that much of a difference. So there's not really much that happens between now and the next gym. We have a battle with Maxi, but we have all the Pokemon we need to deal with him, and for that matter, even the next gym. This battle can be really tough depending on your encounters up till now, but we have a Bakio. Bubble Beam one-shots Numel, and then I remembered that Abakio is trash, but I didn't realize how trash it actually was until it couldn't even one-shot Slugma. Don't say it. Alright, plan B. At the very least, I can get a safe switch into Bruno while Flannery heals. And from there I proceed to use 6 bulk ups, all while Slugma does something, I think. It does try to use a few smogs in between, but none of them get the poison. I figure I might as well stall out the sun, and Slugma finally gets a long-awaited poison off on Bruno. But Bruno was prepared. Goodbye Slugma. Next up is Camerupt, and I would be scared, but this thing has no ground moves. Even Numel had Magnitude. Goodbye Camerupt. Now, Torkoal will survive the first onslaught of double kicks, but the funny thing about Gen 3 AI is that if they don't see a kill, they almost always use a status move. Doubly so if they have a speed control or a weather setter. And a heal at this stage is pointless as we move first the next turn anyway. A final double kick gets us the 4th badge. Both the encounters I used here are guaranteed. Onto Norman. Norman can be terrifying, but we have Narantia, and Narantia completely shuts down Spinder. I get a Fake Out off, but Spinder has Encore, so into Giorno and straight back into Narantia on Psybeam, and Fake Out. I do this one more time and Giorno can use a Mach Punch to bring out Vigoroth. And I use the exact same Fake Out strat. Guess I can spend some time explaining the AI since I need something to pad out the video. Vigoroth has Slash and Feint Attack. It will never use Slash on Sableye, so I can switch out to a Pokemon that resists Dark, and we have 2 of them. Then Vigoroth's baited into using Slash, so I can safely switch into Narantia and get off a Fake Out. It was a similar story with Spinder, but she had Psybeam. Eventually, Giorno can take Vigoroth out with the Mach Punch. Linoon literally cannot do anything to Sableye. Unlike Spinder, it doesn't even have a status move that affects Narantia, and Norman never switches. And lastly is Slacking. It has a monstrous attacking stat, but with the exact same coverage as Vigoroth. So imagine how we cheesed him, but worse. For Narantia, also has Detect, which breaks the Truant ability. Eventually I do get to speed up the process by letting Giorno take a Feint Attack, which then allows her to get off 2 free Mach Punches, getting us the 5th badge. Maybe Sableye should be on the ban list, but I still don't think it's broken. Its stats do hold it back, and there are still plenty of moves that can hit it. With access to Surf, we now have access to our next team member, another guaranteed encounter, Mista the Wilma, and his IVs are amazing. Well, all except 2, and those 2 happen to be his attacking IVs. Why? I've got 2 water types, and they're both trash. At least it has a plus special attacking nature, better than a Bakio. But why are we catching 2 water types in a challenge where we're stuck with the encounters until the end? Out of all the important battles left, we only have 3 Pokemon that are weak to water. Not 3 trainers, Pokemon. And they're all in one gym battle. Well, one reason is that Bakio has no redeeming qualities, but more importantly, we're now approaching the gym that I dread the most during my Emerald runs. Emerald is the first game I've ever maxed out the clock on. I have Nuzlocked this game more times than the years I've lived. Yet I can never find a consistent way to beat this monster. So head back to the abandoned ship, grab Ice Beam, fight all the trainers on the way to Fortree City, then walk back to Morwell to buy another TM for Ice Beam. Teach both of these to my water types and we're ready for Winona. Winona leads with Swablu and I send out Mista. Mista outspeeds and Ice Beam doesn't kill. How bad are my water types? At least Swablu goes for Safeguard, which is better than Perish Song. Mista can outspeed, so 2 more serves take Swablu down. Or it would have, but then Winona switches to Tropius. I'm always fascinated whenever the AI switches. Ice Beam's able to pick up the kill, which I'll be honest, I was actually kind of worried about. Not that Tropius is threatening, I just can't afford to lose the little faith I have. Swablu goes down to Surf. Next up is Pelipper, and remember that thing I said about AI and status moves? Well, crank that up to 11 if they are Protect. The AI loves using Protect for some reason, as expected on the switch to Narantia. Narantia starts off with a Fake Out, then after Pelipper uses Protect, Pelipper tries to use another which fails, and then gets electrocuted by Shockwave. The AI really loves Protect. Skarmory starts off with a Steel Wing getting a defense boost, and Shockwave does about a third. I have no clue why, maybe it's because I saw Steel Wing, but I switched into Bruno. Of course, Skarmory outspeeds to use an Aerial Ace, which absolutely would have killed, if crit, and Overheat melts Skarmory. And lastly it's Altaria, and of course this was always the real threat. It has Stab Aerial Ace and Earthquake, a combination that can hit almost every Pokemon you can get up till this point for neutral damage. But that's not why it's scary. It has Dragon Dance, which benefit both of these moves, and also guarantees it outspeeding all of my Pokemon. Luckily it's baited into using Earthquake so I can switch into Mista, and it doesn't crit. Now Altaria shouldn't see a kill, so I should go for Dragon Dance, so Mista can use a 4 times effective Ice Beam, not getting the kill. Faith lost. Also Altaria has an Oran Berry. I can survive a non-crit. Altaria uses Earthquake, and Mista survives on 15 HP. A final Ice Beam puts this terrifying battle behind me. I honestly can never think of a consistent strategy for Winona, at least without having to dodge a bunch of crits, or maybe sacking a Pokemon. Although I think if you have a semi-decent Wailmer or Tentacruel, this battle could be free. Also Skarmory walls Altaria, but that's a 5% chance pretty far into the game. Another battle with Maxi, but he's basically free with the Pokemon that we have. Camera Up doesn't even have a fire move. Also, Maxi used a Super Potion on Crobat while it was still over half HP. Has this ever happened to anyone? Having a gym battle that's also a double battle can be terrifying, and many do find this next gym terrifying. But the thing is, if you have at least one Dark type and a Pokemon weak to Psychic, this battle is essentially free. We have one Dark type and 3 Pokemon weak to Psychic. Not the ideal ratio, but good enough. Having 2 Water Pokemon also really helps with this, as Water Pokemon can hit all of their Pokemon for super effective damage. Xatu and Claydol are out, so I send out Mista and Giorno. The funny thing about double battles in this generation is that opposing Pokemon don't actually work together. And what that means is that we can swap Giorno right out to Narantia, and both Xatu and Claydol try to use Psychic as they both see a kill. Mista gets off an Ice Beam on Claydol. Narantia uses a Fake Out on Claydol, as Xatu can't really do anything, most likely using a Calm Mind anyway, and as Claydol flinches, it goes down to another Ice Beam. With Solrock out, the absolute worst thing that can happen is that he uses a Sunny Day straight into Solrock using Solar Beam on Mista, which also needs to crit to kill. The AI don't plan these out. The only way that would happen is due to really bad luck, and the chances of that happening are astronomically low. Xatu uses a Calm Mind as Solrock uses a Sunny Day. Mista uses a Nice Beam to chip Xatu, and Narantia doubles into it with Shadow Ball, bringing Xatu down. Lunatone, like Xatu, can't touch Dark type, so it won't attack Narantia. And while Solrock is most likely going for a Solar Beam, it could use Flamethrower, boosted under the sun, so I switch into Bruno. Mista protects, and Solrock does indeed use Flamethrower on Bruno. Lunatone sets up a Calm Mind. I can now switch back into Narantia as he baits Psychic from both Solrock and Lunatone, and Surf does a bit of chip damage. I do this little exchange one more time, though Bruno doesn't get hurt this time. Surf does even less damage with Light Screen up, but this time Narantia stays in to use Fake Out on Solrock. Lunatone puts Mista to sleep, but Mista's prepared. Surf does a little more chip damage. But this time, as Mista protects, Narantia can use a Shadow Ball to take Solrock out, leaving only Lunatone on the field, who can only use Psychic moves. And Lunatone just gives up as it uses a Calm Mind, allowing Surf and Shadow Ball to get the final kill. And of course I get my patented pointless crit. And there's the 7 badge. Definitely one of the longer battles, but there was never really any scary moments like with Winona. And there are even better Pokemon to deal with this gym. We're just committed to the ones that we have. Ew, story. There's a battle with Archie, but he's even more pathetic than Maxi. His Ace Sharpedo has 1 attacking move. Slash. Not even a stab move. Isn't it weird that this is the climax of the arc? Like, we have a cool cutscene with Rayquaza, but all we do is just go up a tower. There's no big battle or anything at the end. You just watch a cutscene and it's over. Next gym. 1 can also be considered a run ender, but we're more than prepared. 1 leads with Love Disc, and Giorno's Mark Punch does over half. Love Disc hits Sweet Kiss. I don't really want to deal with confusion this early on, so into Narantia on Water Pulse, then into Giorno on Water Pulse. Another Mark Punch takes Love Disc down. Next up is Celio, and we can switch into Bruno on Aurora Beam. No attack drop, so I can stay in to use a double kick, which one-shots, or two-shots. Next up is Crawdaunt, so we can stay into outspeed, once again using double kick to one-shot / two-shot. Whiscash comes out, and Giorno walls this thing, so it eventually goes down to a Mega Drain, all while Giorno sits at full health. And finally is Kingdra, who was the real threat all along. But we have 3 plans. As we've established, the AI likes to use a status move if they don't see a kill, and Ice Beam doesn't kill without a crit, so the chance of losing Giorno is low. Kingdra sets up a double team, and Giorno hits the turn 1 Leech Seed. Reason number 3 why we have 2 water types. We can just keep switching between these as they completely wall one's ace, and Leech Seed can't be healed by potions or rest. Or so was the plan, but after a protect, I decided to stay in to use Ice Beam, which hits, and freezes. Then another one hits, then another, and eventually Ice Beam plus Leech Seed damage drains Kingdra, and we get the final badge. Abakio did not miss a single Ice Beam. What a way to redeem herself. Not that we really needed a freeze or anything after that Leech Seed hit. We could have lost Giorno, but truth be told, we don't really need her anymore. Through Victory Road, we have a battle with Wally, and despite having a pretty cool battle in Oras, he's so weak in Emerald. Mista actually one-shots Altaria with Ice Beam this time. Giorno takes care of Magneton, Narantia walls Gardevoir, and Bruno tears through Roselia and Delcatty. Onwards to the Pokémon League. The way I set my level cap is by getting the average of all of the Elite Four's aces, including the champion, and rounding that down. In this case, it's level 53, which is actually a very convenient number. Have you noticed something? We've only used 5 Pokemon throughout this entire run, and they're all still alive. But I've saved the best for last, and I think it's time that we get our final Pokemon. Is it Rayquaza? I ban Legendaries. Is it Salamence? I ban Pseudo Legendaries. Is it Crobat? I told you, I ban Legendaries. Our final team for the Elite Four is Mista the Wailord, Abakio the Tentacruel, Narantia the Sableye, Giorno the Breloom, Bruno the Blaziken, and coming to absolutely no one's surprise, the one that's been sticking by us the entire time, cheering us on by the sidelines, and the true star of this game, Trish the Zigzagoon. And to those of you who have not been enlightened, allow me to direct you to the video in the top right corner, or in the description. But to give you an overview, we need to make a few preparations. First over to Falaba Town to pick up Return in exchange for a rock. Then we fly to Fortree City to pick up Sunny Day in the Scorched Slab. We already picked up Shadow Ball a while ago, so we head straight to Lily Cove, where we buy Protect and teach Trish Substitute alongside Return and Shadow Ball. And our final step is to train her all the way up to level 53, the level cap, so she can learn Belly Drum, a move that maxes your Pokemon's attack at the cost of half of their HP. We also spend some quality time with her. And with that, we're ready to take on the Pokémon League. We know that the AI like to use status moves by now, but that means that Trish can set up a substitute as Sand Attack from Mightyena fails. Then Trish can safely set up a Belly Drum as Double Edge breaks the substitute, but it's already over. Return one-shots Mightyena, Return one-shots Shiftry, Return one-shots Cacturne, Return one-shots Crawdaunt, and Return one-shots Absol. I think you can see where the rest of this run's going. Phoebe leads with Dusclops that has Protect, and we already know. Substitute up, Belly Drum set, Shadow Ball one-shots Dusclops, Shadow Ball one-shots Bayonet, Shadow Ball one-shots Sableye, Shadow Ball one-shots the second Bayonet, and Shadow Ball one-shots the final Dusclops. Trish sets up a substitute, Basilio sets up Hail. This could be a problem, but we've got a Citrus Berry to take the chip damage. A Belly Drum later, Return one-shots Celio, Return one-shots Glalie, Return one-shots the second Celio, Return one-shots another Glalie, and Return one-shots Walrein. Drake leads with Shelgon, who also has Protect, so easy enough. But Rock Tomb doesn't break through the substitute, nor does it lower Trish's speed, so Belly Drum, and Return one-shots Shelgon, Return one-shots Altaria, Return one-shots Kingdra, Return one-shots Flygon, and Salamence lowers Trish's attack, but Return one-shots Salamence. And we're already onto the final battle, but there are a few changes that we need to make. I teach Sunny Day and Protect over Substitute and Shadow Ball. The reason for this is that there's a chance that Wailord can attack turn 1 despite having Rain Dance. We go for a Sunny Day, but Wailord does in fact go for a Rain Dance. A Water Spout's coming, so we set up another Sunny Day, halving its attack. But now we know that Wailord's baited into using Rain Dance. So Trish can safely set up a final Belly Drum. But before attacking, we use Protect, then return one-shots Wailord. Before attacking, we use Protect again, then return one-shots Tentacruel. The reason for this is that Ludicolo has Swift Swim, and by now the rain's been stalled out. Return one-shots Ludicolo, return one-shots Whiscash. Gyarados lowers Trish's attack, but return one-shots Gyarados. And Trish's return puts an end to the Ace Milotic, and the Nuzlocke. With that, we have accidentally completed an Emerald Hardcore Nuzlocke with no deaths. That was the original challenge, right? Can I upload this video twice? Sorry if this one felt a bit anticlimactic. Truth is, I actually had this idea ages ago and had it long since mapped out. I've been traveling a lot for work, so making videos these past few weeks have been difficult, so I thought I'd give myself an easy win. Besides, while Emerald was easy, I think this could be a really fun challenge to do in other games, especially in games where trainer movesets start to become good. If anything, I hope I contributed to dispelling the assumption that the older games were harder. They were just as easy as the new games are now, as long as you're prepared. Most of my Pokemon even had terrible natures and IVs as well. 4 of the Pokemon I used are basically guaranteed, and you can use some encounter manipulation to get Shroomish, which even if you don't get, resetting only costs you like 15 minutes. Sableye is the only one I could see people not agreeing with, but then again, Roxanne's free with Shroomish, and you can always just reset for Sableye as well. Though that would likely be closer to an hour's cost if you aren't using speed up. Thanks for watching. This sort of challenge is really fun for those of you who like the puzzle solving aspect of a hardcore Nuzlocke like myself. But I also do have a long, nice, tedious challenge lined up that I'm really excited for once work begins to calm down. So I hope you stick around for a future video.